21. Insoluble solid magnesium carbonate reacts with dilute sulfuric acid. The equation is shown. Magnesium carbonate plus sulfuric acid gives you magnesium sulfate, water plus carbon dioxide. The steps used to make crystals of magnesium sulfate are listed. So step 1 is add excess magnesium carbonate to dilute sulfuric acid and stir the mixture. Step 2, filter the mixture. Step 3, heat the filtrate to the point of crystallization. Step 4, lay the filtrate to cool. What is the residue removed from the mixture in step 2? So step 2 is to filtrate the mixture. So we have added the magnesium, which is like in excess, with the sulfuric acid. So it will be forming water and carbon dioxide. So since carbon dioxide is a gas, it's definitely be getting removed and water is dissolved. And here we have taken the magnesium carbonate excess. So after all the magnesium carbonate reacting with the sulfuric acid, it will be like after using up all the sulfuric acid, this magnesium carbonate is gonna be left in that solution, which was taken out in the step 2, like after filtrating. So magnesium carbonate will be as there to filtrate. So option A is the correct answer. Question number 22. Which trend occurs across the period from sodium to argon? So this is how the period is gonna be, sodium to argon. So as you know, this group 1 and group 2 are metals, and from metals to the right side you will be getting the non-metals. So the first option, and the a change from metal to metal, is absolutely correct. So the correct option is option A. Then option B, an increase in the melting point. No, like the metallic bonding makes the metals of the higher the melting point. So here the melting point is actually rising up to the silicon, and then there will be like a sharper fall to the non-metal. So it's not a consistent increase. A more violent reaction with the water. Only the group 1 and elements will be reacting with the water. So as you move across, the reaction with water will decrease. So it's option C also wrong. Then it's due to the an increase in the electron conductivity. So as you know, metals will be more conducting. So it's not an increasing at all as you go towards the non-metals. Question number 23. Which statement about the element bromine is correct? So bromine is one of the halogen. So the first option is it displaces chlorine from aqueous potassium chloride. So in the halogens, the reactivity is getting decreased as you go down the group. So fluorine will be having the higher reactivity, chlorine the second, the bromine is the third one. So here the reactivity of chlorine is higher than the bromine. So bromine cannot displace the chlorine from the solution. Then the option B, it has a higher density than chlorine. That's actually the correct option, because as you go down the group, see the mass is getting increased, like 19, 35.5 and 79.9. So the number of protons is getting increased as you go down the group, and the density is higher. Then the option C, it is a diatomic metal. It's diatomic for sure, but it's not a metal. This is a non-metal element, so it's a group 7. Then the option D, it is a green gas at room temperature. It's a liquid basically. Chlorine is a gas, but bromine is a liquid, and it has a color of red-brown. So the correct option is option B. Question number 24. Metallic element X has a higher density. Which part of the periodic table is X in? So it's given that it's metal. So metals is in the left side. So it can't be a halogen. It can't be can't be this option D, and it can be group 1 or transition element. Group both are metallic one, and it's given itself a higher density, right? So here for the group 1 element, the density is not higher that of a transition element. So the correct option is option C. Question number 25. Which statement about the uses of metals is correct? So here you have to learn about the uses of aluminium and copper for sure. So aluminium has a lower density and good electrical conductivity, which make it suitable for overhead electrical cables. The option A is absolutely correct. The aluminium food containers can only be used for a short time because chemicals in the food reacts with aluminium. Aluminium is not corrosion. It's resistive to the corrosion. Like it doesn't have any problem with the food. We have the foil and all, right? So we are like preserving our foods for a shorter time with the aluminium. So option B is wrong. Then electrical wiring made from copper is covered with plastic because copper corrodes easily. Definitely not. The copper is a very good conductor and it's not corroding easily, and the plastic covering is for an insulation so that no one is getting the shock. The option D is copper is used for in the manufacture of the aircraft. Definitely not. Aluminium is taken, or the alloy of aluminium is taken for the aircraft because it has a lower density and it's not malleable. It is a dense and malleable material, and it's not of a low density. So the correct option is option A only. Question number 26. Steel bridges are painted to help stop rust from forming on their surfaces. What causes steel to rust? So the rusting is basically the corrosion of iron or steel, and it requires both the water and oxygen. The sunlight is not necessarily. So water and oxygen only. So the correct option is option B. Question number 27. Which two metals are mixed together to make brass? We have several alloys to be learned. So when the two metals are mixed together, we'll get an alloy. So the first one is the brass, which is an alloy of copper, and the zinc. Bronze is another one, which is copper and tin. So copper is present and zinc also present for the brass. So 2 and 4. So the correct option is option D. Question number 28. Metal N is between zinc and iron in the reactivity series. Which statements about metal M are correct? So reactivity series is this one. So first point is it reacts with cold water to produce hydrogen gas. So in this one, only the high reactive metals will be reacting with the cold water. So metals above the hydrogen in the reactivity series react with acids to produce a hydrogen gas, but not with the water. So only like these three will be reacting. So zinc and iron is here, like the metal M is between these two. So definitely first option is wrong. Then it does not react with cold water. Yes, that's correct, but will react with dilute hydrochloric acid. So it's a metal above this hydrogen. So hydrogen is here, right? So since it is of that, you can find out this one is correct. So here is hydrogen and here is copper. Like this is how the reactivity series is gonna be. And the next one is the metal can be obtained from its oxides by heating it strongly with carbon. So if the metal is below carbon in the reactivity series, it can be reduced. So here is your carbon and the zinc and the iron is below it. So it can be. So the metal oxide cannot be reduced using carbon. No, it can be. So option 2 and 3 correct. So the correct option is option C. Question number 29. What is the color change when water is added to anhydrous copper sulfate? So anhydrous copper sulfate is of a white color, and when you're adding the water, it will become hydrated copper sulfate, which is of blue color. So it changes from white to blue. So the correct option is D. Then question number 30. Which statement about the composition of clean dry air is correct? So in a clean dry air, 78% of oxygen is wrong. It's 78% of nitrogen. Then 21% of nitrogen also wrong. It is containing less than 1% of argon. Yes, it has only 0.9 percentage of argon, and it contains 4% of carbon dioxide. No, it contains 0.04%. So this is also wrong. So the correct option is option C. Question number 31. Which row identifies a source and an adverse effect of methane? So here methane is a greenhouse gas generally. So and the sources is basically from the decomposition of the vegetation and animal waste and the landfill sites. From the car engines, we are getting the carbon dioxide, not the methane. So it's from the decomposition of vegetation. And the adverse effect is, you have two options: acid rain and climate change. Acid rain is basically from the sulfur dioxide, the oxides of sulfur. Climate change is from the greenhouse gases, which is the methane. So the correct option is option D. Question number 32. Which statements about alkenes are correct? So here propene is a saturated hydrocarbon. Saturated, which means that it's should be having the maximum number of bonding. So it is only for alkane. So here it's propene, which means that it's alkene, not alkane. So this is a wrong option. Then second point is ethene is made by heating long chain alkanes to a high temperature in the presence of a catalyst. So this is what we called an like cracking method. So it means that it's correct. The like ethane, you can get it from the long chains of alkene. So when it is dissociate, we'll call that method as cracking. So you will get one of the product as any alkene. So option 2 is a correct statement. Then 3 is hexene reacts with aqueous bromine, changing its color from colorless to orange. So when there is an addition reaction happens for the alkene with a bromine. So this is taken to be as an identification for the alkene. This is one of the experiment. It becomes from orange to colorless when it contains the alkenes. So not from colorless to orange. So the color indication is different. So third point is wrong. Then the fourth point is alkene, propane and butane have the same general formula. Yes, all these are alkenes. So alkene has a general formula like this, CnH2n. So option 4 is also correct. So 2 and 4 is correct. So correct option is option D. Question number 33. The table shows the formula and names of some organic compounds. Which row gives the correct name of the formula shown? So the first one is CH3Cl. So it is having chlorine. So it's basically a halogenoalkane. So for a halogenoalkane, it is the naming is basically like this: the number of carbon atoms, then the halogen will be the prefix. So it will be chloromethane for here, because there is only one carbon atom, but the option here is chloroethane, which is wrong. Ethane is for 2 carbon atoms. So first option is wrong. Then the second one is CH3COOH. So it's a carboxylic acid. So we'll be naming with the carbon count and oic acid. So here there is 1 and 2 carbons. So it's ethanoic acid. So which is a correct naming. Then the third one is it's again a halogenoalkane, but it has like 2 halogens. So here it is bromine on the 2 carbon atoms. So in those ones we'll show the halogen positions, like in this one CH2 and both the carbon atoms has the bromine. So 1 2 dibromo. So di means like 2 bromine is present. Dibromoethane. The carbon count is also correct. So third option is correct. Then the fourth one is of salt. So here is CH3COO2Ca. So here always the naming will be with the cation plus the acid root. So here the name will be calcium ethanoate, and here it is 2 carbon atoms. So it should be ethanoate, not the methanoate. So methanoate is for 1 carbon atom. So this one is wrong. So 2 and 3 options are correct. So the correct option out of these 4 will be option C. Question number 34. Which gas is the main constituent of natural gas? So natural gas is a fossil fuels that mainly contain the methane, not these ones. So it will be having 85 to 95% of it. So the correct option is option C. Question number 35. A sample of petroleum is separated into 3 fractions X, Y and Z using fractional distillation. Some properties of X, Y and Z are listed. So X is more viscous than Z and Y has a higher boiling point than X. Which fraction has the longest carbon chain and which fraction is the most volatile? So the viscosity is one of the points. So higher viscous is the liquid, it will flow slowly. For example, honey and bitumen are of high viscous one. So here it is X is more viscous, which means that it's more like denser. More will be the density. So X will be having the density higher than the Z. So you can mention it like this, like X is it should be like more the thicker one, and Y has the higher boiling point. So in this fractional distillation one, always the higher boiling point will be at the bottom, because it needs like more the energy for breaking down. So a higher boiling point will be at the bottom and a lower boiling point will be at the top. So higher the boiling point, which means that Y is at the bottom and it's having higher than X. So it's below to Y. So this is how the position would be. So the longer carbon change will be for the Y because it's have the highest boiling point. So then the most volatile. So most volatile will be having the short chains, or it should be of a less viscous. So here the less viscous is for Z. So the correct option is option B. Question number 36. 2 salt solutions P and Q are tested. The table shows the results. So here the test is there and what kind of reaction is given on this one, and what are P and Q. So you have like several options given. You should know these 3 tests. First one is NaOH test. So when you are adding NaOH, you can find out whether the compound is having Fe2 plus or Fe3 plus ions. So here when you are adding a few drops of aqueous sodium hydroxide, you will get green precipitate for the P. So green is for Fe2 plus. So this is having Fe2 plus, and red brown precipitate for Fe3 plus. So this is having Fe3 plus. Then add a few drops of dilute nitric acid and a few drops of barium nitrate. So it will give you the presence of sulfate ion. So if it is white precipitate, it has sulfate ion. So this one has the sulfate ion. SO4 2 minus. This doesn't have any change, which means that no sulfate ion. Then a few drops of dilute nitric acid and a few drops of silver nitrate are added. So the silver nitrate test is for the presence of a chloride ions. So if it is present in the solution, it will be giving you white precipitate. So P is giving you white precipitate, which means that it contains Cl minus and it doesn't. So P is basically Fe2 plus Cl, and here it will be FeCl2, and here it will be Fe3 plus and SO4 2 minus. So it will be like this, Fe2 SO4 3. So it's iron chloride, iron 2 chloride here, and iron 3 sulfate here. So it will be option A correct. Question number 37. A small quantity of solid E is added to a large excess of aqueous ethanoic acid. No bubbles of gases are seen, and the solid dissolves to give a colorless solution. What is solid E? So you're adding aqueous ethanoic acid. So if there is any gas present, you will see the bubble. So no gases are getting formed over there. So no hydrogen gas. So no carbon dioxide gas is present. So that solid doesn't have any hydrogen. So if it is of a like if it's reacting with an acid, it will be giving you a hydrogen, and here it doesn't. And when it has a carbonate, it will give you the carbon dioxide, and it doesn't have a carbonate. So option D is wrong, and it's not acid as well. Then the color clue, it doesn't show any color. So if the solution is colorless, it's not the copper salts, because copper salts is having some colors which are basically of a blue. So you can eliminate the copper 2 oxide 2, and the reaction that large excess of aqueous ethanoic acid is taken, and the solid is completely dissolved. So it dissolves, which means that it must form a soluble salt. Out of this, which one is soluble? The calcium hydroxide. So if you're adding any metal, it doesn't have any hydrogen, right? So it's not a magnesium as well, because magnesium, when it is added to an acid, it's a highly reactive material. It will give you the hydrogen gases. So magnesium is also wrong. So which is a soluble salt? Calcium hydroxide. So this one will be the solid E. So correct option is option A. Question number 38. Ethanol is manufactured by two different processes. Which raw materials are used by the two processes to make ethanol? So ethanol is an alcohol. You can get the alcohol by two processes, fermentation and hydration of ethene, to get the ethanol. So in the case of fermentation, like how you are getting the you will be making the wines at home, right, by adding the glucose. So the raw material is glucose. You will be adding the yeast will be added, and you can add you need to add more the sugar, right? So it has a glucose. So this is one of the raw materials that you need. Then the second method is the hydration of ethene. So steam and the ethane is reacting to give you the alcohol, the ethanol. So ethene is needed and steam also needed. So 1, 3, 4 is needed. So the correct option is option B. Question number 39. What is used to test for chlorine? So here you have 4 options given. For chlorine, we'll be using a damp litmus paper. So it will be giving you a bleached white. So damp litmus paper is correct option. option B. And for the oxygen test, we'll be using a glowing splint which will relight. And for the carbon dioxide test, lime water is taken which will turn milky. For the hydrogen test, you will take a lit splint, so it will give you a sticky pop if you are placed next to a hydrogen. Question number 14. Which statement about paper chromatography is correct? So here this is how a paper chromatography looks like. So the first option is it can show if a substance is pure. Yes, it's absolutely correct. So correct option is A, because if it's a pure substance, it will give you only a single plot. See here, you will get like a different plot here, like different colors, and it's keep on moving on the upward direction. So it means that it's impure. So if there is like multiple spot, you can find out it's impure. So a single spot, pure substance. So you can classify, you can use the paper chromatography to get whether it is a pure substance or a mixture. Then it can separate a mixture of insoluble substances. No, you need to get a soluble substances for it. And it can separate a compound into its elements. Definitely not. It's just separating its to its components, not to the elements. You can separate into the hydrogen, nitrogen, like that. Then it provides a way of combining substances to make new colored compounds. Definitely not. It's just splitting the colors into its mixture, like whatever be the color in there, it's just splits into that variant colors which make that normal color. So the correct option is option A, and that's it. We have finished the paper.